We are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday. I believe this is April the 24th. I had to check the calendar there because the way it is, the things are up in the air now. I don't even know what day it is anymore. February or April. Did I say February or did I say April? I might have screwed up. April 24th. My God, I'm all over the place. Anyway, welcome to the video chat today. The way these live video chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour, answering any questions that you may have when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, and getting yourself back in shape. So if you would like to tune in and ask away any questions, feel free to type those into the chat window there, and I'll do the best I can to help you out during today's video chat. And this is something that I do on a regular basis. Every week I usually do these live Q&A. Today it was a little later than normal starting. I had some other things on my agenda today that I couldn't make it on the normal time. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to delay the chat, or I'm not going to postpone it. I'm still going to do it, just going to be a little bit later. So I posted up a notification in the community tab there on the YouTube channel, just to let you know that we're going to be still doing the chat just a little later than usual. So hopefully we still get a good turnout today, even though we have a change in time. All right, so I'm just going to kind of like jump through here now and see who's tuning in. We've got Dark Boy joining in. Welcome. As you tune into the chat today, let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. And again, if you do have any questions or topics of discussion, feel free to post those into the chat window, and I'll do the best I can to help you out. And one thing that I really want to kind of emphasize when it comes to reaching your fitness goals, be that building muscle, losing fat, whatever it is that you're struggling with, one of the biggest challenges you're going to deal with, it's not the how-to. It's not the strategies. It's not the tactics. It's not the actual workouts. It's not the actual meal plan. The biggest challenge you're going to have to face is overcoming your own mental blocks. That's going to be the biggest challenge, because there's no shortage of how-to. Like, you can go on YouTube right now and you can find dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of workouts. You can find meal plans. You can find, there's no shortage of how-to information. But what's very often happening is people are getting more confused than ever because of the abundance of how-to information that's out there. And then we get stuck into this analysis by paralysis, and then we've been programmed through the media, through our family, through our friends, through just years of poor lifestyle choices, these unhealthy habits. And the biggest challenge you're going to deal with is trying to unlearn some of those habits and start applying the new habits, the new ones that you need to start implementing for yourself. That's going to be one of the biggest challenges. It's not the tactics. It's actually changing this going on in here. This is the biggest issue for a lot of people. And that is something that you really need some I guess, it goes beyond the tactics. That's what I'm getting at here. I mean, it goes into the real digging deep. And I actually made a blog post just recently. If you haven't checked it out, you should head on over. And it covers, finding your deep motivational reasons for sticking to a program. And this is something that I encourage everyone to do. If you haven't done it already, head on over to leehayward.com, and it should be the first blog post that's there right now. And that is an exercise that I take all my personal coaching students through, and it really will help you to start to uncover some of the deep reasons why you need to make this a lifestyle change for yourself, for your family, and just basically to become the best version of yourself. And I highly recommend you to take the time, read that blog post, consider it, look at the examples I share in there, and then do those exercises for yourself, because it'll really help to give you some more clarity on the bigger picture of why looking after your health and fitness and getting yourself back in shape, losing the fat, building lean muscle, and just improving yourself is so important. And it goes beyond the physical aspects. Like, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I want to look better and this and that. It goes way beyond there, because it's going to literally impact everything in your life. It's a deep rooted issue, and it's something that I encourage you to check out if you haven't already done so. So head on over to leehayward.com. The very first blog post there covers the deep motivational reasons why you're probably struggling with some of these issues that you are when it comes to health and fitness. All right, so we got any questions coming through there? I'm just looking there. We got, let's see, who else is joining? Nathan is tuning in. Welcome. Mossy is joining in. Welcome to the chat, guys. Glad to have you tuning in today. All right. We have Ross joining in as well. Welcome, Ross. Glad to see you tuning in. I know Ross has been posting up a lot of home workout videos that he's been doing. I've been seeing those on Facebook recently. Hey, man, great job for you for making do in the current situation, right? I mean, obviously the gyms are closed and you have to get creative. You have to make do with a lot of weird and funky exercises at sometimes, and like making do with odd objects and things like that. Like one of my coaching students, he actually has like a makeshift gym set up using a piece of metal pipe. He's got cinder blocks. He's got like sandbags and things like that. Just basically junk that he's found, and he's been able to put it together and make like a makeshift home gym. And like how he's been doing things like squats and presses and stuff like that is he had a stack of pallet jacks, and he would rest the metal pipe on that. He would use rope, tie on the cinder blocks onto this big metal pipe, and he would get under it. Like that would be his makeshift squat rack, is the stack of pallet jacks. Get under there. And I mean, he would be doing his squats and his presses and deadlifts and all this kind of stuff using this big metal pipe and cinder blocks, right, that he had tied onto the end of it. I mean, it's raw, it's crude, but hey, you know what? It still works. And he's actually getting a better workout from doing some of that stuff because now he's lifting awkward objects. The metal pipe that he's using now as his barbell is a lot thicker than the regular barbell that you use at the gym. So now it's engaging more grip and more stabilizer muscles to balance all this stuff. And he's actually getting a better workout now because of the fact that he had to change up his whole training. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, to think that instead of being like most people who are just like, hey, we got a shitty situation on our hands, right? The gyms are closed. Oh, poor me. And then drown yourself in, junk food and alcohol and binge watching Netflix, which is what most people are doing. He's decided, you know what, I'm going to make the best of the situation. And he actually put together a makeshift gym out in his backyard, just using scraps and junk and stuff that he found, because it's not easy to find home gym equipment. Like if you start searching, like most of the department stores and sporting goods stores, like they're sold out. Like a lot of places online, sold out. So sometimes you have to get creative. I'm not saying that you can't find home gym equipment. I mean, maybe you can, but you have to be creative with this. And like I say, I know a lot of guys are, and Ross is a prime example. He's been posting up a lot of those on his Facebook page. So again, I respect what you're doing there. Keep it up. Who else we got tuning in? We've got Lee joining in. Lee Dunnigan, welcome to the chat. How's it going? He says he downloaded the Total Fitness Bodybuilding App. He says there's lots of great info there. Good stuff. Glad you enjoy it. And if you haven't already done so, head on over to my website, leehayward.com, and there's a link there where you can download the Total Fitness Bodybuilding App. And this is kind of like a one-stop shop for getting basically a condensed version of everything you need to know when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, and getting yourself back in shape. There's sample workout routines. There's a new section added in there with just some home workouts. There's a full section on nutrition for both building muscle, losing fat, exercise database. I mean, there's a lot of information there that's jam-packed into the app. So if you're looking for like a tool to get started and to kind of get you on the right track, definitely download the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app. It's available for both Android as well as Apple devices. So yeah, you can get that, the direct links right over on my website, leehayward.com. All right, let's see. Ross is saying appreciate it. He says he's been making a lot of stuff and he's been following along with my workout videos. And that's something, if you haven't been doing so, over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page, I've been doing home workout videos. Follow along home workouts using minimal equipment, usually stuff that you can do with body weight, with dumbbells, resistance bands. That's been the main focus of these follow along workouts. We've got, I'm not sure on the exact number, but it's almost 30 follow along home workouts there. And these are full workouts. It's not just like little exercise demos. This is actually take you right through the warm up the entire workout. Each video is about an hour long, and it covers, everything from the warm up, the actual workout. We chat in between sets, covering different A second, I gotta get a drink here. I'm choking up here. Excuse me. But we cover, as I was saying, the whole thing, the warm up, the actual exercises, and then some stretching as well at the end. So, I mean, it's a complete training session, and you follow along with it in real time. So that's the cool thing about it. I mean, if you want like a virtual training partner, that's exactly what those workouts are. It's you and me literally working out, doing the exact same workout in real time. And I got almost 30 of those videos posted up there now on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So if you're looking for some motivation, right, while the gyms are closed, you can find it there. That's something I'm committed to doing for this entire shutdown. I'm going to be posting up regular videos. I usually do one every single day, but some days, obviously, due to my schedule or whatever, like today, I'm not going to do one because I'm doing a live video chat instead. But most days, I'd say at least 5 or 6 days a week, I'm doing a follow-along live workout over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So again, if you haven't already checked that out, by all means, head on over. All right, let's see what else we've got. Ross got a question there about muscle soreness. He says muscle soreness has been feeling pretty crazy. He's been doing hot and cold therapy, and he's saying that feels better, but wondering if there is a better recovery method. If you are getting excessively sore from your workouts, there's a couple reasons. One, it's probably because you're doing different exercises that you're not accustomed to doing. Like if you've been changing up your routine, doing different exercises, using different pieces of equipment, like for example, if you're always doing the same free weight and machine exercises, and now all of a sudden you're doing a lot more body weight exercises, maybe you're doing higher reps, maybe you're using resistance bands and you're just changing it up, or you're doing some just different things. Like that is unique muscle stimulation. And anytime you change up your workout and you get unique muscle stimulation, very often you get sore while your body is adapting to that. So it's not uncommon when you change up your workouts to feel more soreness than usual, again, because you're providing that unique stimulation. But as you continue on with the program, your body's going to adapt to it, and you're going to experience less and less muscle soreness. Like in my case right now, I very rarely get sore from a workout unless I do something that's totally different, totally like out of the normal for me. If I'm doing like a standard workout routine that I do on a regular basis, I mean, I can train hard, I can train to failure, I can push myself, but I rarely get sore because my body is used to handling that volume of stress, that volume of workload. But if I change it up and do like exercises I've never done before, or maybe, incorporate sit and rep patterns that I've never done before or haven't done in a long time, something that my body's not used to, that's when I usually get sore. But if you're doing different workouts, which I know you are, right? Because we're everybody's doing different workouts unless you've always been working out in a home gym. You're probably doing things that your body's not accustomed to, and that's the reason why you're getting more sore. Now, one of the things that you can do to help with that, post-workout stretching is huge for reducing soreness after a workout. It helps to aid with recovery and has so many other benefits as well. I mean, it'll help with muscle growth. It'll help speed up the recovery process. It'll just help with your mobility, your flexibility, all that stuff. I mean, stretching has so many benefits, but one of those benefits is helping to reduce post-workout soreness. So I would recommend taking a few minutes after your workouts to just stretch out the body parts that you trained, right? Like if you train legs, take a few minutes to stretch out your legs. If you train back, take a few minutes to stretch out your back. And if you need some stretching guidelines, you actually want like a sample follow-along stretching routine, on the main Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, if you open up the playlist tab, I've got a full stretching routine, covers stretches for every major muscle group. So there's a back video, there's a leg video, arms, chest, all the major muscle groups covered in their own individual stretching video. So all you have to do is follow the video that relates to the body parts that you just trained. So again, if you train back, hey, follow the back stretching video. If you train legs, follow the leg stretching video. If you train chest, the chest stretching video, etc. So that would be a great strategy to help with your muscle recovery. Another one that's a big one that's helpful is alternating weight training and cardio. So I'm a huge fan of this, and I've referred to this as my yin and yang training system, where I'll do high intensity weight training one day and then low intensity cardio the next. And I find that this is a great complementary system that allows you to exercise on a regular basis, get daily exercise, but you do so in a way that works with your body. So it's complementary because excuse me, when you're doing the weight training, that's when you're breaking your body down, right? You're placing stress on the muscles, stress on the joints, the tendons, the ligaments, the central nervous system. You're breaking things down with the weight training. But then when you do the low intensity cardio the next day, that's gentle exercise. It's not stressing your body, but it's helping to increase blood flow and circulation, still burning body fat, you're still getting the health and metabolic benefits of exercise, but it's gentle exercise. It's active recovery. And the combination of the high intensity weight training, the low intensity cardio, alternated back and forth like that, great way to help speed up the recovery. And you'll find that you'll actually recover faster by doing the low intensity cardio on your off days versus if you just sat around and did nothing. Doing nothing's not the fastest way to recover. Gentle exercise, like active recovery exercise, is actually the fastest way to recover. So those two strategies, the post-workout stretching and then cardio on your off days, that'll definitely help with the recovery process and help to eliminate some of that delayed onset muscle soreness that you're experiencing. All right, NK is asking, do I have tips for training during Ramadan? Personally, no. I've never been through Ramadan. I don't have any practical strategies to deal with it. I've got some general ideas, but I've never dealt with it personally, so I'm not the best person to ask about how to train during Ramadan. I made a video about it a while back, a few years ago, because every year I get questions about, how do I deal with Ramadan? How do I deal with it? And I respect it, but honestly, I'm not the person to ask. Like, I've never done it myself. So, I mean, like, if you've never done something, then you're not an expert in that. Like, if you want to learn how to do something, would you go to somebody who's never done it before and say, hey, how do I do that? Right? I don't know. Right? You've never done it. And that's the reality. Now, this is my take on it. You've got a month of fasting and it's technically a month of intermittent fasting. It's not true, like, you don't eat for an entire month. You don't eat during the daylight hours. And the biggest thing that makes this even more challenging is it's a dry intermittent fasting, meaning you don't eat or drink during daylight hours. Now, just because of that whole scenario, it's not optimal for muscle building. Now, if your main goal is fat loss, you can actually make that work for you because, I mean, obviously you're cutting back on your food intake and you could use that to your advantage to help with fat loss. But when it comes to actual workouts, you're going to have to scale back the intensity. There's no other way around it. Like, you can't train at 100% intensity with no food or fluid in your system, right? You just can't do it. Like, you could still push yourself hard if it was just no food and you're still hydrating yourself. Like, hydration is huge. But if you're dehydrated and you're also depleted, that you just physically, you can't push yourself. So you're going to have to scale back the intensity of the workouts. I would go on like a deload type of training phase, meaning like I would do just easy workouts for that month. Low intensity cardio. I would do, strength training maybe every other day, 3 days a week, and I wouldn't be pushing it too crazy. Maybe like a total body circuit routine, 3 days a week to just kind of maintain your general level of health and fitness and conditioning. Do some cardio on those off. Jeez, man. I ate my supper before I got on the video chat today. Like, normally I'll do the video chat, and I always, that's why I'm burping, all right? I've got my belly full. Right. Those of you who are going through Ramadan, you don't have your belly full, right? You're running on empty. But anyway, getting back to it. Low intensity cardio alternated with some like total body circuit routines, and just don't push yourself because you don't have the fuel in your system to recover from high intensity training. And that, again, this is just a theory, but I don't have any personal experience to share. But like I say, that's what I think I would do if I had to go through it myself. But again, I'm not the best person to ask on it because I've never actually done it before. We have Joe joining in, asking, how many days a week do I train now? Right now, I'd say I'm doing literally 5 or 6 strength training workouts a week. Just because, there's a couple reasons. One, I'm not doing full-on gym workouts. I'm doing a lot of home workouts, and the intensity is not the same as if I was doing heavy gym workouts. So I'm doing more frequent training, but the intensity of the training is lower. So that's where I'm at now. And I actually like that. I like that change of pace. I like the change of the workouts that I'm doing, training with higher reps, doing a lot more body weight exercises, a lot more conditioning work, things like that. That's what I'm doing mostly now in terms of my strength training. And then I also like to do some form of cardio on a daily basis as well, whether that's getting outside for a walk, getting outside for a bicycle ride, or if the weather is not suitable, I will do cardio at home. I've got an elliptical machine at home that I'll use if I can't get outside and do cardio. But ideally, I want to do some sort of cardio outside every day, just for not only for the fat loss benefits, but for the mental benefits and just to get outside and get some fresh air and just to get the mental clarity, because it makes you feel so much better when you can actually get outside on a regular basis and exercise and breathe that fresh air. And it's just like this natural form of, it's like a natural detox. It's like a natural antidepressant. It just makes you feel good to get outside and exercise. And like this afternoon, after I finished my work that I was doing, I went for a 2-hour bike ride this afternoon, and man, it just felt so good. I mean, it's sunny outside. It was beautiful. It was a bit windy and a bit cool, right? I mean, it's still kind of cool here where I'm to in Canada, but it was beautiful outside. Like the sun was shining. So I mean, I just went out and a 2-hour bike ride before dinner, and it just felt amazing. Just this the just feeling of freedom and fresh air and stress relief. I mean, you just can't beat it. I mean, I absolutely loved it, and that's my favorite form of exercise right now. Is just to get outside and go for a bike ride. We've got some beautiful trails around where I live, so I mean, getting out on the trails and just enjoying nature, enjoying the fresh air, it can't be beat. It's my hands down my favorite form of exercise. So ideally, like on a perfect day for me, I'm going to do cardio and I'm going to do strength training. Now, if I do a really big cardio session, like 2 hours or plus of bike riding, then I'm going to pass on the strength training, right? Because I only have so much recovery. But if I do less cardio, let's say I just limit myself to an hour of cardio, then I'll also do about an hour of strength training. So I'm usually doing about 2 hours of exercise per day ever since this whole COVID shutdown thing happened. That's what I'm averaging on a daily basis right now, 2 hours of exercise a day. And not only for the physical benefits, but for the mental benefits, right? That's what's keeping me sane, right? Rather than binge watching Netflix and stuffing myself with junk food and drowning my sorrows in booze, I'm exercising. I'm exercising my stress away, and that's how I'm dealing with it. And it's working. It's working better. I gotta say, I'm enjoying it. And that's how I'm staying lean and staying fit during this whole situation. Unlike the average person who's getting fatter by the day, every day of lockdown is another day of body fat gain. Because I mean, you look at the statistics, it's scary. I mean, I've been just looking at the stats since COVID hit. Junk food sales are up, I think, what was it? 41% junk food sales compared to this time last year. Alcohol sales up 58% over this time last year. Netflix subscriptions are at an all-time high. Like it's just crazy. So I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to be that brilliant to figure this out. All right. Junk food all-time high. Alcohol all-time high. Netflix all-time high. All right, what does all that equal? That equals obesity. That equals, just fat, out of shape, miserable. Like that's what that equals. And experts are now predicting that the average person is going to come out of this whole shutdown with about 20 pounds of extra blubber, gaining about 20 pounds of extra body fat just due to this whole shutdown. I mean, that's scary. We're already in an obese society. Like the average person is overweight right now. And we're just going to just jack those numbers even up now by another 20 pounds. I mean, it's insane. But that's the reality. So you have a decision. How are you going to deal with this, right? Are you going to deal with it like most people, right? Just give in to the whole, I'm going to eat like crap, I'm just going to drink, and I'm going to just be lazy. Or are you going to take action and actually get your ass out there and exercise on a regular basis and use this as an excuse to eat healthy and actually take care of your health? So, I mean, God forbid, if you do get sick, at least you're healthy and your immune system is strong so that you can fight it off. I mean, if you're loading up on empty calorie junk food and then toxifying your system with booze and just being lazy, that lowers your immune system. So, I mean, then if you do get sick, you're even in a worse position to fight it off than you were before, right? And then, of course, if you gain weight, that places even more stress on your body. Like, It's crazy. Like we're always talking about this big pandemic, and people are like, oh, you want to be healthy so you can fight it off, and people are doing the exact opposite. They're doing everything possible to get unhealthy instead of doing the best they can to stay healthy. It's crazy. Anyway, enough of that rant. Let's move on. I'm hoping that those of you tuned in now are not amongst those average people who are going to be gaining 20 pounds of body fat from this whole shutdown, right? I mean, you're tuning into a fitness chat, so chances are you're actually looking for some strategies on how to keep yourself fit. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, Ross is saying that he used to be doing 4 workouts a week in the gym, but now since this whole shutdown, it's 6 times a week, doing more higher rep hypertrophy training. Yeah, I hear you, my friend. Peter's joining us. He says, workouts haven't changed for me. He said, I built the home gym better than most commercial gyms. He says, I can't stand training in commercial gyms. Well, that's awesome. You are at a great advantage, my friend. All right. I know several of my coaching students have home gyms, and things have not changed a bit, right? They're still doing their regular workouts just the same as they always were. And of course, that's awesome. I mean, I have both. I've got a home gym, and plus I also train at the public gym just up the road. But I do, I'd say I do about in a normal situation, that is, about 70% of my workouts I do at the public gym and probably about 30% at home. I just like the energy and the atmosphere of actually getting outside and going to the gym. Like, I work from home, right? So, I mean, like, I'm at home all day. Like, going to the gym is kind of like an opportunity for me to get out of the house and just enjoy myself. I mean, it's kind of like my me time to get outside for, a couple hours and just I really enjoy it. That's a couple hours that I really look forward to on a regular basis. But of course, since this whole COVID hit, now I'm working from home and stuck at home, and I that's why I'm so grateful now that I'm able to get outside and go bike riding and take my dog for a walk and stuff like that. Because if not, I mean, there's nowhere to go, right? I mean, it just drives you insane if you're just stuck at home day in, day out, and it just gets to you after a while, right? I know everybody's probably feeling it. I can't be the only one, right? We're all going through it. So I miss the gym for that aspect alone, not just the workout aspect, but I mean, I just enjoy going to the gym. That's where I go. That's my home away from home, if you will. Got Brent tuning in. Hey, Brent, how's it going? He says, Lee, what is your professional opinion on laying down straight arm pullovers for the back? Would you say it's smart, safe? It roughed up my shoulder. I figured I avoid these. I don't do straight arm pullovers. I always keep my elbows bent when I do a pullover. Like, this is the motion I go through with a pullover. Always keeping the elbows bent. If you try and lock it out straight, that's just going to place so much excess strain on the elbow joint. It's not worth it. You can get the muscle building benefits, the stretch throughout the chest and the lats with your elbows bent. Like, it's not an arm exercise or anything like that. I mean, yeah, okay, if you lock out your arms, it technically makes the movement a bit harder now because you have more leverage. But just keep your elbows slightly bent. If you need to increase the weight, okay, increase the weight. Big deal. But it's safer to do a bent arm pullover. I'm not a fan of the straight arm pullover at all, because it's just going to cause, the risk to benefit, the risk to reward ratio is not in your favor when you're doing a straight arm pullover. Do them bent armed. Peter saying, should you stretch before training? No, that is a big mistake. You should never stretch a cold muscle. You always need to warm up before you stretch. The ideal time to stretch is after you work out, not before. Think of your muscles like a rubber band. If the rubber band is cold, like, let's just say I take a rubber band and I put it in the freezer overnight, and then I take it out the next morning, and then I try and stretch it. When that rubber band is cold, it's been in the freezer overnight, it's much more likely to snap, tear when it's cold versus if it's warm. If it's warm, it's flexible, it's pliable, it's stretchable, right? Your muscles are the same way. If you try and stretch a cold muscle, you're more likely to tear it or injure it. Whereas if you stretch a warm muscle, again, it's more flexible, more pliable, and it's stretchable, right? It's not going to tear as easily. Now, of course, I'm not saying it'll never tear. I mean, there's always a risk of injury, regardless of what you do and regardless of how many precautions you take. But the risk of injury is much reduced if you stretch a warm muscle. So if you're just going to do a stretching only workout, you still need to warm up prior to that. So doing some cardio exercise, doing things that are going to get the blood flowing, the core temperature elevated, and some mobility exercises to help warm up the body parts that you're going to be stretching, and then do your static stretching afterwards. But ideally, the best time to stretch is right after you work out when the muscles are pumped full of blood, they're fully warmed up, and I mean, that is the best time to stretch because you'll actually get more stretching benefit because when the muscles are pumped, they're being stretched internally just from the blood volume being pumped into the muscle. So they're already being like you have cell volumization going on from the blood flow in the pumped muscles, and then when you stretch thin, you're actually getting more stretching benefit from it. So it's like a double benefit in terms of stretching. So I always save my stretching for post workout. It helps with recovery. It helps with muscle hypertrophy, helps reduce soreness. I mean, there's so many benefits to post-workout stretching. Have Ralph joining in. Welcome. Ross is saying when he does pullovers, he finds a lot of strain on his shoulder and it becomes painful. If the pullover causes pain, the simple answer is don't do it, right? I mean, find another exercise to do instead. But there are a couple different variations. You can try, again, doing a bent arm pullover like I mentioned. You could try using cables or resistance bands instead of free weights. Like, I'll just give you some different pullover variations. One, I mean, a lot of people do the dumbbell pullover. Like they'll lie down on an exercise bench and they hold a dumbbell with both hands and they do a dumbbell pullover. I actually did that in one of my home workouts the other night. You could also lie on the bench and use a barbell, right? Whether it's a straight barbell or an easy curl barbell, and do your pullovers with that, right? That changes up the hand position a little bit and it may make the exercise more comfortable. You could also do, some gyms have pullover machines. Like the classic one is the old school Nautilus pullover. I love that machine. The gym that I train at, Platinum Health and Fitness up in CBS, they have that old school Nautilus pullover machine. You know, the same machine that you used to see Dorian Yates using back in the day, right? That is an awesome machine. I absolutely love it. And of course, they have one, so I use that when I'm at the gym. If you don't have access to that, you could probably do like a straight arm pullover with, or not straight arm, sorry, like a cable pullover with a straight bar, is what I meant to say, from like a lat pull down station, right? You actually stand in front of the lat pull down station and do pullovers from the high pulley cable, right? You can try that. That changes up the exercise, the mechanics a little bit, and just experiment, right? Try all these different variations or whatever you can do and see if you can find a pullover variation that works for you. Now, if you can't, that's fine, right? Scrap the exercise. If it's like you try dumbbell pullovers, it hurts. You try barbell pullovers, it hurts. You don't have a pullover machine and you say, okay, I'll try bands or I'll try this. And you're like, nope, still hurts. Don't do it. Right? You don't have to do any exercise, right? It's a nice exercise, but it's not essential. Like you can still build a great physique without pullovers. And that applies to basically any exercise. Like you don't have to do any particular exercise. Just focus on working the muscle. So you look at, okay, what does a pullover do? It helps to stretch out the chest. It helps to stretch out the lats. Just find another movement to help stretch out your chest and lats instead, right? That's basically it. So just find another exercise or another couple exercises that are going to duplicate the muscle activation that you're going to try and get from the pullover. And if that applies to any exercise, like if you find bench presses hurt your shoulder, don't do bench presses. Try another variation instead, right? Do something else. If you find squats bother your knees, don't squat. Find other exercise variations instead. Like you don't have to do any one exercise. You just have to work the muscle and work it consistently, right? So that's one of the things I always emphasize people, especially as you get older. Like this really starts to come into play the older you get and the more aches and pains and mobility issues and the stiffer the body gets with age, right? You have to play it safe and respect the body more and more, right? But bottom line, if an exercise does not feel right, don't do it, right? Try to find another exercise to do instead. We have Oysen joining in for the chat today. Glad to have you tuning in. He says, do you have any tips on achieving progressive overload with home workouts? Heck yeah, you can just pretty much the same as you would with any type of workout. One, increasing the resistance, increasing the reps, increasing the sets, decreasing the rest time between those sets. Those are all forms of progressive overload. So if you're doing, let's just say, body weight exercises, simple answer: do more repetitions, do more sets, right? For whatever exercises you're doing. If you increase the volume, then that's a form of progressive overload. Another way is to decrease the rest periods between sets. So you do the same volume in less time. So, I mean, that's a form of progressive overload. Another way that you can have progressive overload is to increase the weight you're lifting. So whatever you're using for your home workouts, be it dumbbells or resistance bands or home gym machine, whatever you have, lift heavier weight, just the same as you would if you're at the gym. Those are all methods of progressive overload, right? Another one that a lot of people don't focus on, but it's another way of progressive overload: slow down your tempo and actually use more of a muscular contraction versus fast, explosive repetitions. Like, I'll give you an example that you'll be able to relate to. Let's just say you're doing bicep curls and you take a moderate weight, right? I don't know what moderate is for you. It depends on your strength level, but just throw out a number. I got a 50-pound barbell, and I'm going to do bicep curls. Now, if I do a little bit of swinging and use a bit of momentum to curl that 50-pound barbell, it's going to be a lot easier than if I really slow it down, no momentum, and just do a strict, slow and controlled curl, right? Really slow and controlled on the way up, squeezing the muscles, slow and controlled on the way down, not using any momentum or anything like that, just pure muscle contraction. You can make a lightweight feel so much heavier if you just slow down and tighten up your form. So when you're training at home, if you find that you're running out of weight, so to speak, like let's just say you only have, your dumbbells only go so heavy and you only have so much weight. Well, use that weight, but slow it down. Really focus on squeezing and contracting the muscles and not just simply moving the weight, right? Getting a muscular contraction instead of using momentum. And that's another form of progressive overload. So you can still make progress training at home. Don't use that as an excuse to get lazy or think that you're not going to make gains because you're working at home. That's not the case. We have Dwinster. Okay, I'm going to call you Dwinster. Lee, what's the best substitute for skull crushers if you have tennis elbow on one side? Do sleeves help with knee discomfort when lunging? If you've got tennis elbow, skull crushers are probably going to be painful. You could probably try some different. I would probably use resistance bands if you have access to them. Resistance bands tend to be more therapeutic on the joints than free weights, and you might be able to do a similar exercise with resistance bands that will allow you to work around the pain. So you can play around with different variations. Like you could anchor the bands from maybe if you have a doorway that you could anchor the band in or something, and do like a tricep push down with rubber resistance bands. You could try doing like an overhead extension with a rubber resistance band, but rubber resistance bands, just the bands in general, tend to be less jarring on the joints and more therapeutic on the joints, tendons, and ligaments. So if you have any aches or pains, tendonitis and stuff, try using rubber bands instead of free weights. It'll probably allow you to train the muscle with less pain. Also, just try changing up the angle of the exercise. Like change up your hand position, whether you use like a hammer grip or pronated grip or whatever. Try different hand positions, different width, right? Closer and wider, medium. Just play around with it and see if you can find a certain position that feels better for you. And if you can't, then don't do the exercise, right? Like I mentioned before, if an exercise doesn't feel right, if it hurts, don't do it, right? Do another exercise instead. Another part of that question: do knee sleeves help with knee discomfort when lunging? It depends. It may, and it depends on the type of pain you're experiencing. Sleeves will help to give some mild support to the knees, and it will help to keep the joints warm. So that in and of itself may help to a certain degree. But if you've got like a pre-existing knee injury or tendonitis or something there, then simply band-aiding it with a knee sleeve is probably not going to fix the problem. It may help a little bit, but ultimately, you same principle applies. If a certain exercise hurts, don't do it. Find another variation instead. Instead of lunges, I tell you one that I find easier on the knees and is a very similar movement. Try step-ups. Step-ups tend to be easier on the knees for most people versus a lunge. So that's a variation you might want to try in your workouts. All right, another question coming through. This is, I want to ask, is 30 to 45 minutes of stationary bike good? Sure. Yes. 30 to 45 minutes of stationary bike is better than no stationary bike. Yes, of course it's good. And push-ups and doing exercise on bands. Yes, that's all good stuff. Like, anything is better than nothing. A lot of people think, is this good? Is that good? Like, the best exercise is the one you do, right? The simple as that. The best cardio is the one you do. The best strength training is the one you do. The best diet is the one you follow, right? Like, yes, it's good. Right? What are the alternatives, right? Oops, what did I do? How did I do that? Oh, yeah. I didn't even know I could do that. Look, I'm big. And I'm still big. Jeez, how do I make it small again? Hang on, guys. I don't want you staring. There we go. I don't want you staring at my nose. It's like a big old snot box on me. I'm using my phone, so I had to scroll through the chat on my phone. And as I guess I tapped the screen twice, and it just made the screen big. I didn't mean to scare you there. See this big old monstrous nose just looking down the camera at you, right? Another question. How do we increase the bench press fast? The best way to increase your bench press fast is to master the bench press technique. I'm going to tell you right now, most people are probably leaving pounds on the bench because they haven't mastered the technique. That is the first step that I would focus on, mastering the technique. If you do a search on YouTube, I've got a video. It's one of my most popular videos. It's got over 1 million views, maybe got several million views. I don't know how many, but it's a lot. Just do a search for Lee Hayward bench press technique, and you should find it. Or Lee Hayward, how to increase your bench press with proper technique, something along those lines. But again, search for Lee Hayward bench press technique, and you should find that video. But I go into detail and explain the proper setup and technique and everything else for the bench press, especially the powerlifting bench press, meaning to increase strength and power. So that's the number one strategy I can give you is if you get better at the technique, learn how to master the setup, master the muscle activation, not only will you lift heavier, but you'll also reduce your risk of injury, because a lot of people get injured with the bench press, and it's due to poor setup and poor technique. So there's definitely a right and wrong way to set up for that, and you want to master it. So that's what I would recommend to start making some progress in the bench press. Mr. Unicorn Blood is saying, give the like button. Please hit the like button, he's saying. I appreciate that. Yes, if you enjoy these video chats, if you're getting some benefit from this, and you want to give me some support, smash that like button. I would appreciate it. Right? The more likes, the better it is for me. I appreciate it. It lets me know that you actually appreciate them. All right, cool. I'm getting a few more likes coming through. Boom. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And thank you, Mr. Unicorn Blood V2, for suggesting that. If you want me to call you by your real name, you can actually post your real name in the comments. All right. Lee is saying, this is Lee Dunnigan, says, my girlfriend has asked me to ask you, is Evening Primrose Oil a good supplement to take? She's a big fan of yours. Oh, well, good. I appreciate that you and your girlfriend enjoy the videos. Evening Primrose Oil is a healthy oil. I mean, it's not a must-have supplement by any stretch, but I mean, it's certainly a healthy oil to take. Like, a lot of people will supplement that as a way of getting essential fatty acids in their diet. I'm a bigger fan personally of fish oil, right? Because it's a more concentrated source of omega-3s, and that's what most people are lacking in their diet is the omega-3s. But you could certainly supplement with Evening Primrose Oil as well, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's a healthy oil. But if you were looking for, like, I guess the one that I would recommend the most, I would get a high concentrate fish oil supplement. And you want to look at the labels for this because you want to see the percentage of EPA and DHA fatty acids compared to the total amount of fat that's in the fish oil capsule. Because EPA and DHA are the omega-3 fatty acids, and they're the ones that are the hardest to get in your natural diet. Like, we get a lot of the omega-6s through processed foods and through vegetable oils and things like that. The omega-3s, that's the one most people are lacking. So, like, even the Evening Primrose Oil, like, again, if she's supplementing with it now and she wants to continue taking it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I would suggest adding the omega-3s in the form of a high-potency fish oil supplement. And you typically get what you pay for when it comes to fish oil. If you get the cheap, no-name, drugstore brand fish oil, most of it is just garbage fat. You know, if you look at the ratio of omega-3s versus the total amount of fat that's in the capsules, and that's what you want. You want something that's high potency, like a high concentrated fish oil supplement. The ones that I use personally, I find they're the best bang for your buck, and they're very high quality. It's a Kirkland's brand from Costco. They have a super concentrate omega-3 fish oil supplement, and it's their own brand. I think it's just Kirkland super concentrated fish oil or whatever it's called, something like that. Might be different in Canada and the US, depending on wherever you live. But I use their supplements a lot, and I find that they're great quality, and it's a darn good bang for your buck. So, I mean, that's the ones that I use personally. All right, let's see what else we've got. Josh is tuning in. He says, I tried your late night snack craving recipes, and he says, I have to say the pumpkin pie is super filling. Awesome. Glad you enjoy that. Those recipes, man, like that is so important. Like, you need to have foods that are filling and satisfying and you enjoy, but are also healthy, low in calories, and help to keep your diet in check. Like, you can't rely on willpower. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to follow like a fat loss diet, is they think, well, I'm just going to cut out the junk food. I'm just going to cut out this. I'm going to cut out that. And I'm just going to rely on willpower. And that is a mistake. You cannot cut anything out of your diet. Like, if you start cutting out food, then what happens is you leave a void, right? And then if you need to fill that void, like if you're normally, like in the evenings, you like to snack on something, if you just say, well, I'm going to cut out snacks, I'm never going to snack again, guess what? That's only going to last for so long until the cravings become too unbearable, and then you run out of willpower, and then you binge on your diet, you give in to the cravings, and boom, all hell breaks loose, and you go back to your old eating habits. And whatever weight you lost while you were relying on your willpower, you're going to gain it all back and then a few pounds more. You can't have a void. You have to fill the void, but fill it with healthy foods that are actually going to nourish your body and keep your diet in check. So that's why I made that video, the Satisfy Your Cravings video. And if you haven't seen it already, just go through my most recent videos. It's just do a search for Lee Hayward, Satisfy Your Cravings. You should be able to find it. But that covers my top 5 healthy and delicious recipes. There's high protein ice cream. There's high protein pudding. There's what else was in there? I'm trying to think. Shit. I'm drawing a blank here now. Anyway, watch the video. I'm brain farting here. But bottom line, like, this is the thing. You can't have a void. Like, what I recommend when I'm working with coaching students personally is the first thing is I don't have them cut anything out of their diet. No, I have them add. Like, if we start adding in more good, healthy, high nutrient foods, then there's automatically less room for the low quality, empty calorie junk foods. So we start increasing vegetable intake. We start increasing protein intake. We start increasing, fruit intake. We start increasing fiber intake. We get more high volume food in their diet, and we start filling them up with the good stuff. And then just by default, when you fill up on the good, high volume, nutrient dense foods, you have less room for the crap food. So whenever I sit down to a meal, I have 2 big rules. One, that meal must contain a generous serving of lean protein. Could be meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, something. It's got to have a generous portion of lean protein, and it's got to have a generous portion of vegetables. right? It could be salad. It could be like a steamed or stir-fried vegetable. Sometimes I'll make up like a meat and vegetable stir-fry dish, but it has to have an abundance of protein and an abundance of vegetables. Once I got that filled, like I fill my plate, right, with protein and veggies, and I eat that, that pre-fills my belly, so there's physically less room then for any other food that I'm going to eat afterwards. So if I am going to eat carbohydrates, or I'm going to, even if I'm going to have dessert or something that's not so healthy, I physically have got less room to eat it because I've already pre-filled with the protein and the veggies. That's very high volume food. Like protein and veggies satiate your appetite, whereas processed foods and fat and sugar and crap doesn't satiate your appetite. Like I've used this example before, but I'll use it again. Like if you're looking at cookies, like how many cookies can you eat before you get full, or how many potato chips can you eat before you get full? Like chances are you'll be able to rip open a whole bag of potato chips and eat it if you know before you actually get full. But like how much kale salad can you eat before you get full? Like can you sit down and eat a whole big jumbo bag of kale salad? Probably not. I do. Literally, when I sit down for a salad with my dinner, I rip open those pre-made bags of salad that you get from the stores because I buy them up like that. I eat the whole bag. I mean, what would normally be a salad probably divided like a family of four or something like that, I sit down and eat the whole thing myself because I want to pre-fill my belly with all those veggies so that I'm full, I'm satiated. So like I'll eat a whole bag of salad and then I'll have like a couple chicken breasts or I'll have some whatever. Like tonight now I had some lean beef. So that's what I filled up on. I filled up on lean beef. I filled up on a bag of salad and then I had some fruit for dessert, some fruit and yogurt for dessert. That was my dinner tonight. So, I mean, protein, veggies, fruit, very high nutrient, high volume food, foods that are going to fill me, energize me, build the metabolism, help speed up muscle growth, help aid with fat loss. I mean, there's no fattening, empty calories in amongst what I ate. It's all high nutrient dense foods that are filling and satiating and that are going to fuel my body versus empty calories that are just going to cause it to get fat and, just feel like crap. So, if that's the strategy is making better food choices, and it's not depriving yourself. Like I eat a lot of food. Like when I pulled that whole bag of salad, like that's a lot of food. I get these great big giant mixing bowls and I fill that thing up with salad. That's a lot of food volume. Like most people could not eat that much. So it's not like I feel hungry or I'm going deprived or anything like that. I fill up, but it's just what I'm filling up on. That's the key, right? I'm not filling up on potato chips or cookies or cakes and sweets and crap, right? I'm filling up on high nutrient dense foods that are actually filling and satiating. So I mean that's the secret. And those recipes that I mentioned, again, they're all high volume foods that are healthy and satiating. So that's the secret right there. If you get nothing else from this video, get that. Right? Willpower does not last, right? You need to find a way to satiate your appetite with foods that you enjoy so that you're not hungry, right? I'm getting leaner, but I'm not hungry. And that's the secret, right? You can't get lean by starving yourself and trying to rely on willpower. That does not work. Doesn't work long term, that is. I mean, it works in the short term, but eventually you're going to run out of willpower because, it's a finite resource. We have Tej. Tej. I'm going to call you Tej. If I'm mispronouncing your name, I do apologize. What's the best way to get back into training for hypertrophy after many years away from serious training, living a sedentary lifestyle, blah, 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 muscles stiff and everything else? Start off with a basic total body workout 3 days a week. In fact, you know what? I wouldn't even recommend that. Start off walking. Literally, get outside and go for a walk. That would be step one. Commit to doing that for the first week. Just get outside and walk every day for at least a half an hour a day for the first week. Once you've done that, then we can start implementing some total body workouts, just some basic beginner workouts. Like maybe you do a light total body workout one day and then walk the next. Total body workout one day and walk the next. But you baby step it. I don't care how strong you were or what you used to do back in the day. If you haven't worked out in years, you have to start back just like from square one, bare bones basic, just like a beginner starting all over again, right? That's where you need to start from. And I know it can be feel like a slow process, but it's actually the fastest way to progress. Because if you try and do too much too soon, you're going to end up injuring yourself, pulling, straining, hurting something, and that's just going to set you back further. Or you're just going to be frustrated from the aches and pains that you feel. So you have to baby step it, right? Just inch your way into it, slow and steady. And if you would like some help with this, if you'd actually like some strategies and like a realistic action plan on how you can build this into your structure and build this into your routine with a structured plan to follow, send me an email. I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you and see if we can come up with a strategy that works for you, your schedule, your situation, your fitness goals, what it is you want to achieve, whether it's you want to lose fat and build muscle, improve your health, increase your strength, increase your energy, whatever it is that you want to do. Like, send me an email and we can chat about your specific situation, because everybody's different, right? I don't like to give these one size fits all cookie cutter approach answers, because what's like, if you got like a 20-year-old who's trying to bulk up and gain mass, and you have now a 50-year-old who's trying to trim down and lose body fat, like, it's two totally different scenarios, two totally different goals, probably two totally different life situations. You might have a 20-year-old who's single and got all the time in the world, and then you got a 50-year-old businessman who's got a family and kids and doesn't have enough time to get things done, right? You got responsibilities. So, I mean, you have to factor all that into the equation as well, right? Someone who's in their 20s, they've got recovery, they've got testosterone, and they've got, piss and vinegar on their side. Someone who's in their 50s, all that stuff is on the decline, right? So you got to factor that into play. So that's why I don't like giving these one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter answers, because it really depends on the individual. And I like to tailor the program and the strategies to an individual based on their situation, what stage they're at in life and what their particular goals are. So again, if you'd like some help, send me an email. leeh@leehayward.com is my email address, and I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you. Let's see what else. I'm going to scroll through, answer a few more, and then we'll clue it up shortly. Unicorn Blood is saying, please give a shout out to Noel Pabalon. He's from Winnipeg, Canada. He's so good. Before he migrated there, he gives all his bodybuilding magazines collection to me. He's such a good man. All right. Well, shout out to Noel from Winnipeg. If you're tuning in, thank you. We have Elroy's joining in. Let's see what else we got. We've got Dwinsters joining in. He says, I never stopped working out the whole time, but I still gained some weight, trying to take it back off. If you're still working out and you're gaining weight, then guess what the problem is? It's not the workouts, it is the nutrition, right? This is probably the biggest challenge, right? You can't outwork a bad diet, right? A lot of people overestimate how many calories you burn through exercise, right? Like, exercise is helpful. Exercise is great. I mean, it's going to help to stimulate muscle and burn calories and all that, but you can't outwork a bad diet. And especially if your exercise is primarily weight training and strength training, you don't burn nearly as many calories doing that as most people think you do. Like, on average, you're going to burn between 5 and 10 calories per set of an exercise, right? Now, it's going to vary depending on, of course, how big you are and what kind of exercise you're doing and how intense you're pushing yourself. Like, if you're doing a set of squats, okay, you're burning 10 calories a set. If you're doing a set of bicep curls, you're only burning 5 calories a set, right? Like, it's somewhere in that range. So, I mean, put those numbers in perspective, right? Like, if you're burning 10 calories a set and you do 20 sets, you just burn 200 calories. Like, a protein bar has more than 200 calories in it, right? A slice of pizza has way more than 200 calories in it. So, like, a bottle of Gatorade has more than 200 calories. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, people think they're burning way more calories than they really are. So, like, you see guys say, well, I worked out, so I need to eat and fuel up after my workout. And then they start slamming back all kinds of food. And then you wonder why they're fat, right? It's because you're eating too darn much, right? You don't burn as many calories through working out as you think you are. So if you're eating, you think you got to eat big to get big, well, yeah, it works, but usually eating big to get big causes you to get big around the middle, right? Unless you're one of these, like, you have an extremely fast metabolism, like you're just one of these people who are like rail thin and you just can't gain a pound to save your life. Like, that's the exception. But most people that I see, like the average guy that I see in the gym these days, needs to lose a good 20 to 30 pounds of body fat on average, and or like they're nowhere near a visible abdominal definition. Even the guys who work out on a regular basis, the ones who are the regulars, the hardcore regulars you see in the gym day after day after day, who are way fitter than the average person who's not even going to the gym, even they need to lose 20 to 30 pounds of body fat. They're 20 to 30 pounds overweight. And it's usually because they're eating too much. It's not that they're not working out enough. So if you're struggling with the weight, even though you're working out, it's what's going in this. It's the nutrition side of things. And again, if you'd like some help to plan out a realistic action plan, help you deal with that, send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to chat with you. We have Vincent joining in, saying he's doing 30-minute walks in the morning and the afternoon, and body weight exercises as well. Awesome. Good stuff. Says by doing that, he's lost 10 kilos. Good for you, man. That's awesome progress. We have Jacob tuning in from Thailand. Welcome. Elroy's making a comment of my Atomic Habits book. Yeah, I've got Atomic Habits there by James Clear. That is, I'll give a shout out to him. Why not? If you're looking for a book to read, like one during this whole COVID shutdown, you should read it anyway. This book is like, it's a must read, especially if you want to get yourself in shape, because there's so many diet and exercise examples in this book, and it's practical, real world advice. Like, I'm not affiliated with James Clear or anything. I don't know the guy personally. I've just listened to him on podcasts, and I said, man, this guy knows his shit, so I got to get his book. And I've got this one, and I've got it like scribbled up and highlighted because it's, all the key points in it. And I've got the Audible version that I've listened to over and over again. Bottom line, this is I don't like to say it's a must read, but if there was a must read, this is one of them. Yeah, it's a phenomenal book. Jam it up there. Thoughts on long distance running and maintaining muscle if you want a good. That's from Skylar. I'm not a runner. I don't do short running, long running. I'm just personally, I'm not a runner. I'm not built to run. I find it just kills my knees and shins, ankles. So I don't do any long distance running. I do a lot of cardio, but I don't do high impact cardio. I don't do running. My cardio is cycling, walking, and cardio machines. That's my forms of cardio. Now, if you enjoy running, it works for you, you like it, feels good, and blah, 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 then hey, by all means, run. But personally, I don't like running. And people who are bigger built, like if you look at someone who's good at running, they're usually not like over 200 pounds. Like, people who are good at running are usually on the thin side. So if you're a big, stocky guy, do not run. Like, do low impact cardio instead. That's my advice. If you're trying to lose weight, like, especially if you're overweight and trying to lose weight, do not run. Like, running is hard impact on the body, even if you're at an ideal body weight. If you got an extra 50 plus pounds to lose, that's just an extra 50 plus pounds that's just jarring on your joints, tendons, and ligaments every time you run. So I am not an advocate of runner. I actually made a video about this a while back, like saying do not run for weight loss, especially if you're overweight. But I personally am not a runner and don't advocate it. But with that being said, if you do enjoy it and it works for you and you find that it doesn't cause any aches, pains, and whatever, then yeah, you can certainly incorporate running as your form of cardio if that floats your boat. It doesn't float mine, it sinks mine. Let's see what else. All right, any other questions there? Dave is saying the current change up of workout routines has been refreshing in a way. I'm enjoying the different exercises and more outdoor activities. Backyard ghetto gyms going great. Awesome. Glad to hear it. see. Any other questions? I'm going to clue it up, guys. I'm just kind of scrolling down, seeing if there's anything there that I can kind of address. There's some conversation going on there amongst. We have MS Video saying, Lee, I have trouble being persistent with my workouts and diet. I lose focus quickly. That's a mental block. That's a big mental block right there. If you'd like some help to kind of like just kind of brainstorm some strategies, send me an email and I could, we could have a discussion to kind of see what your issue is, because that's a loaded question, right? Like it's not just a, hey, toughen up, suck it up, buttercup, and get to the gym. Like, that doesn't work, right? You can't force somebody to work out, right? That's a deeper issue, and it requires a lot of deep thinking and really figuring out, okay, what are the root causes that's preventing you from being persistent, right? It's not lack of desire. I mean, everybody wants to get in shape. Everybody wants to lose weight and feel better and all that. But there's some other issues, underlying issues that need to be addressed there. And that's some of the stuff that I really work on when I'm helping people personally, like one-on-one. It's mostly a mental game. It's not the tactics. Like, if it was just, hey, do these exercises, eat this many calories, everybody be in shape. Because, I mean, that's easy, right? Right? It's so easy to just give out the tactics, but it's not the tactics. It's actually, making that fit within your schedule so that you actually do it consistently. That's where the hard part comes in. Got Paul joining in. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Says there's lots of good exercises, but are there any exercises that may be popular but you should avoid? I learned about not putting the bar behind my head when doing military press. I'm not a huge fan of saying that there's exercises you should avoid, because it really depends on the individual. Now, with that being said, for a lot of people, doing like a behind the neck shoulder press will place excess strain on the shoulders, and kind of like, is the potential benefit you're going to get from a behind the neck press worth the potential strain on your shoulders versus doing your presses to the front? I think not. I mean, that's why I like to do my presses. If I'm doing a barbell press, I usually do it to the front of the head, or I'll use dumbbells, which is even better again, because it allows you to have even a more neutral position with your hands. But as far as exercises, it really depends on the individual, because you'll see some people say, oh, never do this exercise or never do that exercise. And then somebody else may love that exercise and it works really well for them. So it really depends on the individual, your body type, and what it is that you're training for. And of course, how you do the exercise as well plays a big role. I mean, like, if somebody's doing an exercise and they're lifting within their means, they're using good controlled form, right? Like, that is not going to be as dangerous as someone who's probably lifting that weight explosively and not using good form. So it really depends on the individual. I don't like to give these cookie cutter one size fits all answers and saying, hey, don't do this and do that. I mean, it depends on the individual, their mobility, their fitness level, all that. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue it up. Like I say, we've been going for over an hour now, and I usually limit these chats to an hour. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you do have any if you do need any help and you have questions or stuff that wasn't addressed during the chat, or if you want to discuss something with me in private off YouTube, feel free to email me. Again, my personal email address is leeh@leehayward.com. I actually answer my own emails. Might take me a day or two to get back to you if I get overloaded with a lot of them. But if you would like some help with a workout or nutrition program, or just brainstorm some strategies, send me an email. I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you and see if we can come up with a realistic action plan that works for you. So have yourself a good one. Have yourself a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next Friday. Take care. Over and out.